busy for me. It's 2
Yeah.
o'clock, so I'm gonna record this. Okay. What's up? Is it? No, it is not. So 2 o'clock, so I'm gonna start this meeting and just go over these questions that were asked to be talked about in this meeting. I don't see anybody who answered them. I don't see anybody who asked them here and present in this meeting. But if there's anything that you guys want to talk about them, we can talk about them. But I'm just going to read them and answer them. Alan said white labeling, JV possibilities, what can and can't, what can be done and what cannot. Is there a standardized way of requesting changes, submitting changes, claiming changes on my end? Instruction as an example, referral program, integrated somehow into the software, recording all the communications, text calls, emails with client, need for images, small file size, video for quoting, client submissions of problems to company reps, solo businesses, to name a few of the top of my head. Summary, customization discussion, possibilities, and not allowed. So that's a lot of stuff, essentially. So that's a lot of stuff that you're asking about there, Alan. And so the idea with white labeling and JV possibilities. So the white labeling, right now we don't have a very super easy way to white label any of our softwares other than essentially clone the software. So essentially launch the software somewhere else. We launch it obviously on the server, but that wouldn't be ideal. So just essentially create a new environment and launch it separately and give it a new domain. So we've been exploring ways to make it an easier process to white label or pseudo white label the softwares that we have right now. And then our plan with any other software that we build would be to keep in mind that one of the models that we want to have, or at least I think is beneficial to us, is from a revenue perspective, enter into joint ventures with other entities, essentially create other entities that are joint ventures that serve the purpose of monetizing that particular core software to a specific niche and audience that they have influence in already. So we need to build into the core of our softwares a way in the architecture for that to be supported. Our current applications aren't like that. And there's a big technical discussion that we can have about what that means and how it's achievable. So hopefully everybody's following right now. So what could and could not be done, all right? So depending on the joint venture, lots of stuff can and can't be done. And obviously we're a software company, right? And that's what we do is build software. So anything can be customized and changed. But at what point would we actually want to do that? Well, the point, because we're obviously spending development resources to do that. Well, from my perspective, it would be from different points of view. When we had enough partners that were like, yes, this is what we should be spending our time on. So this is what we want to do, that we're kind of grouped together to say, yes, this is really, they think that they can take the responsibility of marketing and monetizing, this specific version of this software. So it makes sense to do that because, we're funded by the partners and the majority of the partners are wanting to go into that venture, kind of like the model of Station Multiplier. Or when we were able to have an interested joint venture that we could clearly see that that joint venture has the means and capability to go in and actually monetize that software product to an extent where the share of the revenue that we get is essentially what we would be doing at that point with that joint venture is essentially creating another entity that we modify software for, and that entity has a licensing agreement and essentially that white label version of that software. And the Tier 5 partnership gets a stream of that revenue. The joint venture also gets a stream of that revenue, obviously, because they're the one that's doing all the actual front end. They're the sales and marketing and promotion and hopefully customer service on the front end side of everything. So whenever we saw that our share of revenue, that we thought that joint venture could go in and monetize that white label version to an extent that met that somewhere in the near future would meet the essential equivalent to capital that Tier 5 invested into that joint venture to do custom modifications to a software. So, I wouldn't want to just, on white labels, I wouldn't want to just be going I wouldn't want to be making just a bunch of different white labels and a bunch of different modifications just because someone thinks that with these modifications and with this and that, they're able to capture a market. We would want to be able to see some evidence of that. We can see that already. Obviously, if they were an influencer already and they were already had a huge following and could give how they were actually going to monetize that, they already had a budget, obviously, where they could do the marketing and get users and generate revenue, obviously, in that. So, because it wouldn't make sense. Outside of that, it wouldn't make sense just to go in and spend all our time and resources going in and making it possible to have all these different white labels where all these different people are going to be asking for these customizations and these changes. But that's what the joint venture possibilities are. So, and those things obviously would need to be things that we knew would be profitable for the partnership. From my perspective, if our partnership, if what we do is we mostly, especially for the beginning of our growth, we mostly go in and have other faces, and there's not a Tier 5 face there. Essentially, we use a joint venture and leverage, somebody who already has an audience to go in and actually build revenue streams and build income streams and have them go in and actually start building us a user base and a client base that we do get some revenue stream in and some monetization in. I like that approach because then from Tier 5's perspective, all we're still really doing is actually building software, and there's a front end that does the sales and marketing for these products that we get a share of that revenue in. So, they make some money because obviously it's their thing. They're marketing it and promoting it, and they're doing that obviously for money. We've provided the tech capital essentially that they needed to be bootstrapped and to be up and running off the ground and be able to have access to engineers and get stuff done if they need to get it done. Why? Because we have an expectation of a certain amount of revenue that they're going to be able to go in and get and monetize off of that thing that they can now call theirs and is their brand, and we're cool with that. We don't need to be branded right now. And that solves a lot of problems that I guess other people are saying. So anyways, you asked also, is there a standardized way of requesting changes, many changes, planning? So for sure, there are things called change documents, and there would be a venue and a way for the joint venture to be able to customize it. White labeling wouldn't really, I would say we would just define that it wouldn't really be customizing if you white label something. You just change a domain and you change a logo. Even that to some extent is a process because we use third-party applications. Most of our software, those third-party applications have to go in and actually be built and deployed as well every time we license. We white label something. So I wouldn't think we would do any real customizations on white labeling. On joint ventures for sure. And joint ventures could be really lucrative if we had the right people on the front end doing the joint venture. For us, long again on the short term, wouldn't be necessarily super lucrative on the short, in my opinion. I mean, it could be somewhat lucrative. We could obviously make money, but in the short term, that's not the ideal for the joint venture. The ideal for the joint venture is to go in and turn those products into streams of revenue. Customers that are producing actual revenue. We didn't have to do any of the actual sales and marketing. And over time, we just have a customer use different software products, and we already have a market for all those different software products. And as a partner, we also own all the intellectual property of the actual software. So we actually own all the software assets itself. So that means that we do technically own the entire revenue stream because we own the software assets. So obviously, as a partnership, joint ventures that we would do, we would make those joint ventures where they're always in our best interest. And the joint venture that we're going into, they're going to have what appears to be the larger share of the revenue. We should be giving them that. But the interest and the ideal to have that joint venture is for the benefit of the partnership. So they're going to do the sales and marketing and start to build up our customer base for us. So I'm not sure. I don't think, Alan, you're even here. So I'm not sure if there's anything that you guys want to say about that, or if you guys want to talk about that, if you want me to go on to the other questions that were asked here. So I'm just going on with the next question from Michelle. She said, whatever happened with the JV Zoo launch? So the JV Zoo launch, I guess whatever happened with that is I handed it off to other people and said, I don't really want to do anything other than what is absolutely necessary that only I can do and nobody else can do. Because I want to be building software and managing a team of developers and making sure that the software that we build is fucking awesome, and not anything else. That's really not what I want to do. So anyways, I handed it off to other people and who are all tier 5 partners, all inner circle partners, and asked them to get it done, and it's still not done. So if anybody else would like to do it, I'm still waiting for it to get done. So it has not been done. So hopefully that answers that question. Not sure if anybody has anything they want to say about that or wants to talk about that, or should I continue with the other questions? I guess continue with the other questions. So Hector asked, what are we doing about customer support and image? My wife, of all people, is receiving emails bashing tier 5. How they're connecting her with it, I don't know, but these people really didn't like us. So what we're doing about customer support is I'm trying to have customer support a lot more available, which is why you see these people behind me here working in the middle of the night. And then we've got 3 more on the day shift to just be able to answer any questions that come through any messages that come in for any of the softwares. And the plan is with support, we're not actively developing, but we for sure have done several active planning sessions, and I guess we are technically actively developing because we've done like the basic UI stuff, we've done the design, we've done the HTML, we haven't done any of the actual project or data modeling or anything like that, like not the physical data modeling. We've planned the data model, but so we're essentially building a system called Unboxified, which is a customer support system, so that the agents here, so that the customer support people, and since we do it all through Facebook, and I want to continue to do it on Facebook because I think that chat support on Facebook is a good thing for me personally, because one, it solves the layer of authentication, which which is great for us, especially in a subscription model, to be able to tie somebody's Facebook account to their actual subscription that they're paying us to use the software for. And it also allows us to connect with them not only in the software, but also while they're browsing on Facebook, which maybe they might be doing it and might be wanting to talk to us and browse Facebook at the same time. It's pretty common. So anyways, that's what that software is for. And we're building out a KB system, a knowledge base, so that essentially when users go in and they ask questions in free text, there's an actual process there. That basically looks at that question and tries to match that question with keywords from the knowledge base, so the customer support agents could know how to set up SMTP details and robo-contact without having to know, because whenever you ask that to the support, it flagged SMTP, and if there's a knowledge base for that has a keyword, so it popped up, you know, a knowledge base that had a title setting up SMTP, and then had some use cases like users having trouble setting up their SMTP, and then there's a process that they would just follow to go in and resolve that question, whether they resolve it through chat or they put in some ticket for the engineer. So that's what we're doing for support. As far as overall plan for brand, for brand and image, not really sure what we're doing about image. I guess that's a question about, am I going to keep smoking weed on the fucking internet and saying fuck and stuff and having a monkey? Probably, yeah. So I guess that's another great way where joint ventures come into play, is because we can double dip a market. So I'm not sure about people hating us, because maybe some people do hate us for sure, which I don't necessarily have a problem with, because there's a lot of haters and there's a lot of haters in the world, but lots of people love us as well. So I don't know if Hector's here. I don't think Hector's here. So you guys want to talk about that more, or should I go on with the other questions? You guys are not really talkative today, so I'll just go on with the other questions.
Hey, actually, John, I just on that topic, it occurred to me that the shared domain that Link Wizard is on, if it's abused, which eventually it will be, someone will post a link up there on Facebook, and it could have consequences to anybody else who's using that domain. Is there any thought on a good way to approach that aside from custom domains?
Yeah, kind of. Like, so you got that domain, right? And it's got a bunch of domains in it that are essentially redirects, right? But they themselves are domains. So that is the beauty of having the custom domain, right? You using the custom domain. But anyways, if for some reason that is like, Facebook's like, fuck that, you can't use that anymore, then essentially we would just introduce a new one of these, and then make an automatic process where this new guy would just have links that map automatically to these guys. So you wouldn't have to essentially redo your links. It would just automatically be a new link that you could share. Your old ones would still work, like these guys would still work, right? Those guys would still work, but if wherever you shared them, they might take them down. But typically that's not going to happen, right? And Facebook, I don't know in Facebook if they stop this, if they crawl back out through Facebook and find all these and then break them down, like say, hey, these don't work anymore. But anyways, that would be the plan, is just to have a new one of these and say, hey, all new links, they come under this, or just use these custom domains, because that's even better for you, because that's your thing and only you are actually using it. But if you want to use our little thing, hey, sorry, you guys are assholes, this one broke, so that would be the plan. We just have to make a new one. These guys would still work, they would still redirect, so you just wouldn't be able to share them on Facebook anymore, I guess, because Facebook banned it, and they do that for sure sometimes. But new ones, you'd be able to create new ones because we would just spin up another one of these and just be like, okay, you just use this domain now.
Is there a way, talking about the domain sharing with Link Wizard, to help prevent those from getting blocked, banned, or identified from Facebook? The reason why I ask is I've had a few, and like literally the same day, like literally yesterday, I just put a new domain on, and only a few posts, and all of a sudden it goes against community standards as post because I used a new domain with Link Wizard. It's taken a long time when I was using ClickMagick, but they had something that gives, I guess, link cloaking or hiding the domain somehow. I'm not quite sure how that all works, but is there ways or strategies on how to not have that happen so fast?
I'm not really sure, Greg.
Actually, Greg, I might have some insight. I had one of my
Hello?
the reason they blocked me and like I was against community standards. Am I live? Can you hear the audio?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Hello?
Okay. They said that my short domain, my custom domain that I put in there, if you went to that, such and such.com, it had nothing there. It was only if you added a trailing slash and some customization to the link that actual web pages showed up. So they said because my main domain had nothing, they opted to ban the whole domain from the system.
Okay.
Explain that
So,
well.
no, that makes sense because there's no root. There's no credibility in a sense, maybe in their eyes, of what you're using the domains for. So now, can you use, like, example, I made, say, gregblazer.net was exactly one that I was using. I didn't really try it, or it's not banned, but I didn't want to use it because if I have the domain in Link Wizard, then I can't make any websites with it. It's 100% allocated just to Link Wizard for the sake of making redirects. Is that correct? Or can you make the root domain landing page? Can you do that?
I think not. I think in order to get it to work with Link Wizard, you got to use a CNAME, and that sort of, that sunk the ship on that thought.
Okay. So what's maybe a solution for that, if that's their criteria, to have a main domain for them to authenticate the other links? Because, I mean, you can share as many YouTube links as you want. You can share as many of any other kind of links as you want. But the minute it's these redirects, they're getting really good at identifying and blocking them quickly.
Well,
do you have a solution, John?
There's some sites, some links that you can redirect them 15 times, and even if you redirect them 15 times, Facebook will block them depending on where the redirect actually goes, where the user finally ends up at. But in Link Wizard, okay, you can have, this is your domain. Hopefully you guys all understand this. This is your domain. This is your TDL. This is your root. So this is like tier 5, and this is US. And there's a dot here. US is my TDL. Tier 5 is my root. And then here's www, a subdomain. Or here's links, right? So you can have your website at www, and you can have links to Link Wizard, and then you can tell the links route that just the route for the links goes right back to this www, and then any route, any actual link, so your short link goes to wherever you actually want to route it. So that solves one of your problems that you were talking about. But a lot of it, Greg, could be, I mean, it could be your your in destination? Like, are you posting the same types of, where are your in links routing to? I mean, are a lot of them routing to like JVZoo and ClickBank and stuff like that?
No, usually a website, a bonus page. Let's see, the last one. I was sending something to, yeah, just a page, a sign up page, for a form for opt-ins. I used to try to redirect Messenger ref URLs, but I realized that doesn't work. Facebook really hates that. Like, it really screws things up for some reason. They don't like it. You can use it if I put it in an email and they get redirected to it, that's fine. But if I take a ref URL for a Messenger bot and I drop that shortened link in Facebook or Messenger or anything on their platform, it gets screwed up like right away, really fast. We don't like it. So I don't do that anymore.
Okay. Well, the short link the redirect works for me. But typically, if they block a link, like if you share a long link that Facebook is blocking, like if you shorten a long link and share a long link, a redirect that Facebook's blocking the actual final destination, there's a good chance that they're going to tell the rest of the links from that domain also to be like, hey, screw off. I'm not sure how you got to the links from that question, though, Dave, on customer support and image. Well, I'm assuming somehow you got to that from that question. Was there anything else anybody wanted to talk about on Hector's question? I'm going to assume a no. Okay, I'll just make that. I'll just make that assumption. Okay, Dave, I'm going to move on to your question. I guess I'd like to hear how the new affiliate dashboard is coming along. The ClickFunnels one has disappeared. Some of my commissions.
Are there any lunch? Good. How you doing?
See that? I hate.
Are there any lunch boxes? Oh, you stopped making them?
And I'm told people see that all the time from ClickFunnels. I wouldn't be surprised if some folks are hesitating on promoting the lead rabbit offer because of this. Hey, go Tom left. Go Tom left, Akash. I was gonna have them come in. Go Tom's gone. But the affiliate platform, so the affiliate platform's coming along. We completely rebuilt it on a modern framework. Still not ready to be released. It's a little bit overdue from what I wanted to release it, but we're still not ready to release it. Probably realistically, another 7 to 10 days before you guys can see it. I'd probably even like to hold off a little bit more on that. If I hold off a little bit more on that, then we can have some of the other stuff that I want in there, which is a generator that just shows the revenue shares that are actually issued to you, and then a native connection into Stripe that associates the actual payments that affiliates get commissions to with Stripe, so that girl that's back there right there, that's what she's doing right now, so that a physical person doesn't have to go in and manually reconcile payments and calculate affiliate payouts. So, and then she also is right now, just so you know, Dave, she's going through and reconciling the ClickFunnels data, all the ClickFunnels data, and organizing all those affiliate payouts. So if you lost any, they'll be there, and then I'll be able to tell you what ClickFunnels shows that is attached to you, and if you lost any of them, why they lost, whether it was a cancel, a refund, a non-commissionable product, which there's a few of those non-commissionable products that even though they're not commissionable and you shouldn't get commission on them, then ClickFunnels for some reason will still say, hey, you get commission on that because maybe you sent somebody to somewhere on an affiliate link, and then they, through an email or something, or through some other way, they came to a different funnel that sold something like specifically a training or something like that. That's not a software product. So, but then I'll just I'll give you everything that she gets from that data that's associated to you, and then you'll see anything that ClickFunnels has logged, and then what they gave the status on. But I do agree that it sucks and it's kind of buggy. I just had somebody help me the other day to figure out how to make sure that ClickFunnels doesn't give you credit for things, because like the lead routed data, I just made that commissionable today, and before I never had that commissionable. I didn't even actually have affiliate pages built inside the funnel, which ClickFunnels tells you have to have in order to have affiliate links and affiliate areas, but ClickFunnels still gave people commission somehow on lead routing. So it does suck. I agree, it does suck, which is why we're rebuilding ours. And ours we kind of have to spend time on, right? Like our affiliate platform, especially if we want to be able to actually grow revenue streams outside of being able to go in and do joint ventures with people, right? And one of the ways that we're going to want to generate revenue is leverage affiliates. So for that, we need to have a way for those affiliates to get excited about the affiliate platform, because whenever they log in and they see money, and we want them to actually be promoting the stuff and making sales, and I don't want to in there, justifying all these sales. I want that to all be done from the software. But we have 7 different software products, all that are being built at different things. So like I said, it's not quite ready yet, but it is coming along. And like I said, it is a complete rebuild on a new modern technology that's going to be much easier to maintain and be able to take resources and assign to resources and make modifications. It's also essentially a framework that we could potentially have as another product that we could launch for people who want to have affiliate platforms.
That's huge. Affiliate platforms are big, and like you're mentioning, ClickFunnels, even though it's had it for a long time, doesn't function quite the way that it ought to, or for seamless ease of use and tracking and everything. I don't know if you've heard of this platform. That's really what it's good at, is Pay Kickstart. Some people use it just the affiliate platform because you can have multiple levels, which is really cool, and you can set that out, and it actually has functioning tracking. So if someone pays, example, through PayPal, and your coupon and your client ID, it has all the tracking to keep track of all those things. So your affiliate matches, sales match with the payments through the processor, and everything is proper, so you can keep your books. It's not a nightmare on the other end, that even though if it pushes commissions, people get paid for your business tax dollars at the end of the year, who you've paid, how much, what's happened. You don't have a horrendous nightmare trying to piece things together that were never tied together by the software. I don't know. Have you seen Pay Kickstart?
I've seen it and heard about it. I haven't dove deep into it, no. But for sure, I have seen it from a lot of different people, for sure.
maybe an idea to take some maybe some ideas of how or what they're doing and integrate it and make it better, or just assimilate the good points of it into what you're doing. Because I mean, they make a lot, and I know some people, that's what they depend upon, when they can't say on ClickFunnels or other platforms that say they have affiliate platforms. That's what they kind of use.
For sure. I mean, the affiliate platform, from my perspective, is going to be like, to one extent, it's a very poor, would need to be a very poor piece of software for us, or even for a joint venture, right? Because that's the great way. The affiliate model is a great way for promotion, especially if you can keep tabs on your, affiliates and see what they're actually doing for promotion and know what's actually working for them. It's a great way to bootstrap all your marketing material, because I mean, you guys see the successful affiliates. There's there's ones that aren't that great, and then there's ones that are really killing it, and the ones that are killing it are creating content around the products that they're actually that they're selling. So so that's awesome, obviously, to have people creating your content for you. And those affiliates obviously are going to want some that they're to really sit and promote your product. They're going to want to get paid. They're going to want to see an easy way to see their money, to track and know how much they're making. So it's for us, it should be a very vital piece of software, like a central hub for essentially the outsourced sales and distribution channel. Alan, yes, your question was asked. I don't know if there's other stuff that you guys want to talk about here on Dave's question, or if I should move on. And I'm going to go with move on. Because that's,
yeah, I'm all good, thank you.
Simon, you asked, can you run through the Lead Rabbit program? Not sure I fully understand it. Sure, I just did that earlier on a live today. It's still actually on my whiteboard. It is a software that is being created by one of my students. I technically have 2 students on a made-up course that I made up one day for $50,000 a year because I was poking fun of some people that I had a live call with about their coaching program, and they told me it was $50,000 a year. And I basically got pre-recorded videos, and I got to come hang out at their rented mansion or actual mansion for like 2 days and drink wine with them or something, and hang out with a bunch of other people who paid them $50,000 for the recorded videos. I just thought it was funny, so I made a Facebook post about my coaching program. Anyways, I got 2 students, and how that coaching program kind of works is I work with them to help them conceive and build out a software and find an engineering team to build that software for them. So anyways, one of my students, the first student that I actually took on, Lead Rabbit, is his brainchild, or is essentially it's a derivative of his brainchild. So but anyways, essentially what it is there's 2 stages of it. There's a stage of it where it's a common data set that was purchased and that's very usable. It's a whole bunch of B2B leads, and it's a way to actually filter around and run searches on that data. So hopefully that makes sense. There's a whole bunch of data. There's like 300 million, 400 million pieces of data that are like websites or businesses or consumers. And it's a way for you to go in and actually search that data and then export that data. That's phase 1 of it. Phase 2 of it is essentially a data aggregator, an API aggregator that is essentially, it's essentially a data provider where you can give a website, or you can give an email, or you can give a phone number, and you can get back other information that's essentially crowdsourced, meaning you take the model of RoboContact where you have a bunch of users and they put in their API keys and then they ask Google for a bunch of data. Well, you can expand that to understand that there's a bunch of other different data providers that you can pay them money to give them a website or email or phone number, and they'll give you back even more data about that person, like is the email valid, some information about their domain, when it was established, who owns it, which specifically is another email address. So you can kind of see how that website and that email are kind of connected. And so anyways, these data providers can give you additional data points. So you can hook up your APIs and you can go out and then use those API credits to get those additional data points that you want about that data that you searched and found that met your initial criteria. And then you can go out and just use your APIs and get that additional data. And whenever you do that, you essentially earn credits, and then you can use those credits to get the same data that you just had to use your API for on data that somebody else has already got inside the system. So another user can go in and they can get different data in their search, and they can use their API to get that. And at the end, all the users are essentially putting in their API keys, and they're essentially going out and they're fetching all the data, and they're validating it. They're getting additional information, and then they're just essentially building out a database and earning credits to build out that database so that they can get, you know, more data and not have to pay the API provider, because now we already have this data because a user got it, so they just use their credits to get that data, so they can just get more and more data by getting data inside our platform. So they have an incentive to go out and use their API credits and get as much data as they can. And then also it's a RESTful service, so that let's say another SaaS company that they want to do they want to do some type of you know, business intelligence and customer intelligence. They can essentially, you know, take the emails that come from their opt-ins or whatever, and they can give it to our RESTful service, and then we can give them back all the information that we have, you know, the IP addresses and all the information that we have about that piece of data that we got from the users of LeadRabbit that are just crowdsourcing the data. Why? Because they also want the data. I mean, everybody wants data. So hopefully that makes sense, and you can understand that. So and that's phase 2 of it. So it's a data provider. So it can be really beneficial to us as a partnership, because technically through the partnership, if we go in and actually do the programming for my student and we're the one that actually builds it, then we ourselves have access to all the source code and that software as a product. So hopefully that makes sense. Not sure if you have any other questions on that or want to talk about that. Simon asked that. I'm not sure if you're here, Simon.
Yeah, I'm here. I wanted to know also what the actual affiliate program and how that works. What are we actually selling as far as LeadRabbit is concerned?
So right now what you're selling is just the data. That's the seed data that was purchased for LeadRabbit. So it's kind of like the same data set that's in LeadCarrot. It's about the same data set. It's a whole bunch of data that was acquired on the internet through a contact through somebody that's in our partnership. Actually, a couple of people that's in our partnership. They went out and actually got the data. They wanted the data anyways. They were wanting to have the data, so essentially we facilitated the buying of the data, the crowdsourcing of the data, and like essentially getting the funds, getting a bunch of people to contribute to pull together to actually buy the data. So that's what you're selling right now in LeadRabbit. You're selling that data that we pulled together and buy, and there's like $10,000 worth of data there. Okay, so that's the front end offer for $200, and there's 100% affiliate commission on that. So that means anybody that if you promote that offer, then that you get 100% of that $200 or $500, because today it's $200 and tomorrow it's going up to $500. So you get 100% of that. And then there's a pre-sale of the software that is after that. That's after this.
Hey, John, is the data maintained or updated?
So the data for LeadRabbit, the data set for LeadRabbit, for sure, it will be maintained and updated for sure. That data will be maintained and updated 100%.
Okay.
Inside LeadRabbit. All right. So the data set, the initial data set that people are buying right now, you're buying all the data that we got. The same data that we paid $10,000 for, we're giving you that data. That's what you get for $200. You get the $10,000 worth of data that we bought. And then what LeadRabbit's doing is LeadRabbit is taking that data set, and in phase 1, it's making that fucking data set that's, like I said, 400 million records of data, and making it in a way that you can actually logically search and filter through that data to get something that could be relevant to you, and then export that data. That's phase 1. Phase 2 is to essentially now allow users to go in and connect their Google API key, their Hunter API key, their Tower Data API key, their SocialInfo API key, their SEMrush API key, every fucking data API key that you can think of that goes out and gets additional data on data points. They can just hook in all their APIs. They can run that same search, and whenever they run that same search, they can see, look, here's additional data points. How do we know that? Because we map out all the data points that are available through through all the different APIs. Here's every data point that we could possibly have, because here's everything we could get from any of these paid APIs. All right. So here's, you can get this additional data for this many credits. And it's either going to be credits that you get from our system, Lead Rabbit system, because you have credits in our system, and because we already have that piece of data, because another Lead Rabbit user had initially went and got that data for us. We're not going to have any data on our own outside of the core data, right? You've got the core data, we have that, and in Lead Rabbit we can put a scraping process to get additional core data. But there's a whole bunch of additional data that comes in phase 2 from paid services, paid APIs, and we just crowdsource the getting of that data through the users. If they want it, they can go get it, and we make it really, really easy. They just hook up their API and click get data, and then boom, they got it really easily. And they just earn some credits for it. They also got credits, and they can use those credits that they just earned for unlocking that data to unlock other data in our platform. And the other data that they're unlocking, like that data that they just used their API credits to get, that data is now unlockable for Lead Rabbit credits, for Lead Rabbit credits, because now we have it, because they got it for us. So now we essentially just can resell that. But I think anybody can see how, like, if you think knowing a company's IP address, or knowing an email address's name and occupation and all this additional data that we can get selling data is really a money-making machine. So that's why they have these data API providers that you can go pay money to. And if you look at them, like SEMrush, just to get their API, you got to pay them at least $1,000 a month just to get their API. Now, what data can you get back on a website with their API? Lots of awesome data. Like, you can go in, and if you just had an easy process to go in with SEMrush's API, and you can do that through their user interface, and just figure out the people that you want to work with, and you want to offer some service, and you just go in and run sophisticated reports and give them that report with your logo on it, and it looks like you did a whole lot of work. And a lot of people do that to be able to go in and get clients, because at the end of the day, a lot of the people that you're going to go serve, they don't fucking know anything about technology. That's why their report looks like the way it does. So people use those data APIs already. So anyways, I hope that makes sense. Is there other questions or more things that you want to talk about that?
Yeah, do we get continuing, sorry, rephrase the question. So once we buy that, then we get all the rest of the feature set as it goes on in time. Is that correct? Or will there be additional payments for additional, I don't know, whatever developments of the software?
If you get the software, if you get the software, then you just, well, yes. If you get the software, then as Lead Rabbit unravels and unveils, yes, you'll just get additional stuff. You'll get the software, yes. But the software is not the data. So this is not the software. This $200 on the front end that you get 100% commission of, this is not the software. This is the data inside the software. So the data that we purchased, this is raw data. We purchased this raw data. All this data we purchased, like I said, it costs a little bit over $10,000. So this right here was $6,000 for this. This data, all this data came from Fred. That was $4,000. This data right here was about $3,700. These U.S. businesses. This is pretty much the same. This data right here is pretty much the same C data that is inside of LeadCare. They just added a little scraping process, which is pretty much the same scraping process in RoboContact, that gets social profile information and added it to their data set of websites that they got. So anyway, that's what that $200 purchase is. That's just the data. You just get nothing but the data. You get the raw data files. After this, yes, there is a way for you to actually purchase the software and pre-buy the software for whenever it comes out. And then, yes, you just get the software, and whatever that software merges into, then you get that.
Okay, so here we're just buying raw data, not the ability to sort the data unless we put it into a sorting engine of our own making. Is that right?
That's correct. Here you're just literally getting all the data, the same data that we purchased, and then after we purchased, somebody decided that, hey, we should build a software around this, and I'm willing to throw down money and build the software.
Okay, so now I've got that. So I can buy the data set. Sorry, I can buy the data set as it is here, and then later on, you're developing a sorting engine to go along. Well, whatever data you want to sort. Is that correct?
Yes, that is mostly correct. I have a student that I am coaching, and he wants to build this software right here. He wants to build lead wrap.
Okay. So the sorting engine is being developed right now, and that will be sold as a software in its own right. Is that correct?
That's somewhat correct. Other than the software is not technically being developed right now because it's not fully to the state that it can actually be developed right now.
Okay, so we're revision 0 for the sorting engine, but we're at revision 1 for the data set, correct?
For sure, the data is for sure there. A lot of people don't understand what it takes to build real software, which is why I say it's technically not being. We could say it's technically being built right now. There's just no active lines of code that are being written on it, but that's not. I mean, just because somebody ain't fucking swinging a hammer and nail on some fucking wood, don't mean they ain't building a house. I mean, all those dudes in there fucking thinking, writing diagrams, showing where shit goes and stuff, they still building a house. So for sure, it's being built right now, but there's no active development being applied to it because there's not a solid plan in place of what the transition is going to be and what the stage of the series software. What's the MVP going to be that's actually going to be released? What's the in version so that and what's the actual plan on how everything's going to be built? That part is not concrete enough to be able to even say that there's active development that can be put on it.
Well, that's okay. Now I understand. That's fine. I've got no problem with that. It just so basically, if we wanted to, we could just take that raw data, stick it into Excel if we wanted to, and do a sort on whatever we wanted to, or some other sorting engine of our own choice.
For sure.
Okay.
And if you're a partner and you buy the software and you buy the data, then and tier 5 ends up being the entity that develops the actual software, then you will most likely be compensated in some way for either you'll be given your money back or you'll be compensated in some way with my student for the fact that you purchased stuff that now, since tier 5 itself, we're going to end up building. We're also going to literally have the rights. Like if tier 5, if my engineers build this software for my student, if we end up being the entity that actually builds it, then tier 5 partnership will also own, essentially, we won't own Lead Rabbit, but we will essentially own all the code that we will essentially own this software. I mean, it will still be our intellectual property where we can have our own version of Lead Rabbit. So somehow you would be able to be compensated if, like I said, we end up being the development firm, which is very likely that we could be. I just am not committed to being that development firm quite yet because I'm still not 100% sure how that's going to fare with 150 people that I've met on the internet that are partners in my company and how much waves that's going to store. So plus we're not that far yet in that process. So hopefully that all makes sense.
That's fine. That's fine. I was just struggling with the search engine part. Now I understand that. That's fantastic. Right.
And Alan, you asked a question so how this whole Lead Rabbit thing went down is somebody said, hey, I want to buy this data. Can we figure out how to crowdsource this data? So I figured out a way to crowdsource this data. And around that time, I was getting a phone call from somebody that I was going to try to get to actually help me build a funnel, but instead of wanting to help me build a funnel, like I said, they wanted to have me pay them $50,000 to watch their pre-recorded videos about some stuff and hang out in their mansion. And I made a post about that. All this was happening at the same time. We crowdsourced the original data through an invoicing U link. So yes, those people who bought through that actual link, then you essentially would have got an account to the software whenever it's built.
Cool, thanks. I've got a question, please.
A question about what we're talking about right now?
No, if it's finished, I just wanted to go back. My question, because I came in sort of halfway with Link Wizard and someone was discussing Link Wizard. So if it's appropriate, is that all working correctly?
As far as I know, yes.
Ah, okay, cool. Thank you.
So everybody good so far? Hollis, you said I noticed there are 30 pages in the new IC agreement, but the content lists 40 pages. Anything missing? No, I did ask John about that. I don't think anything's missing. I just think that the table of contents is not right in the actual pages that it lists. So
Okay, but no data is missing, so that's fine.
you have the same one I have. So
Okay.
you should have the same one. You should have the same one that I have, which is this one.
Yep.
And as far as I know, there's not any data missing. So
Okay, that's fine. I'm good. Just wanted to make sure. Hopefully
I got another
updated.
question.
So everybody good with that? Okay, so that was all the questions in for this meeting. That everybody had. So
I've got one more.
let's have it.
Are you still doing those $100 calls where the money's donated to the kids? I'd like to do one with you. I've been trying for a while to try and, if you do them, great. If you don't do them, that's fine as well too. But I just wanted to be clear on it.
Who's saying that?
It's Alan.
Sorry, Alan, I can't even see you right now. Yeah, for sure. I can do them. I can do them for sure.
Okay, so how do I book in for a time for you, or find your, obviously you're very busy, I understand that, and try and make it work? Or I'm happy to, work it in with your schedule, obviously, but where do I go? What do I do? Where's the invoicing you, or where do I pay?
That I can send you. And usually,
Thank you.
usually for me, not Fridays, like pretty much any day but Fridays, I can make time. I don't have anything to do really but run this company, and you guys are all partners in it. I mean, obviously that's a lot of shit to do if you guys can understand to run a company and build software, especially whenever we have a lot of different softwares going on right now.
Yep.
There's a lot of software, but pretty much anytime during the week, just not Friday. Just message me on
Yeah.
Facebook.
Okay. Thank you.
And if you guys do that, if you guys message me on Facebook or something, just do me a favor and go back and message me again. Like, hey, because what ends up happening, no shit, is these people behind me. Part of what they do every day is they just go through everybody on my Facebook page and just send messages, and they send like 300, 400 messages a day to just people in my friends. So incoming messages, I do see them, but sometimes they get lost, as you can understand, because there's a constant outgoing messages that typically they're doing every day. So just message me again if it seems like I'm ignoring you and you sent me a message and I didn't respond to you. Just message me again, and I promise I will. And I do have Boxer access as well. You can box on Boxer.
John, I've
Hey,
got
John.
another question. Okay, go ahead, Hollis.
Oh, okay. Just one last quick question on the when was that data purchased? I mean, how old is it?
I guess maybe 60 days.
No, that's it. Okay, cool.
Well, yeah, probably 60 days, maybe a little bit more than that, not more than 90.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, John, I haven't seen up close, obviously, the new interface for text in bulk, but I got a question for you. Um, as I go through and I use it, I'm creating lots and lots of lists, just the nature of what I'm doing. And in the new text in bulk, is there a way to organize those lists where we can move them into different folders?
No, no, but somebody had mentioned something like that. I mean, we could do something like that, but no, in the new version, there's not a specific way to do that, but we could do something like that for sure.
Okay, and I'm going to hit you up with the second question here, and I want to preface it with this. I have noticed that I get a much better response. I've been testing different marketing things out with text in bulk, and one of the things that I found good to do is rather than have them immediately connect to me, I have them leave their name and their number, and I call them back, right? And I found I get a better response out of that. But what's the word I'm looking for? Oh man, old people's the Alzheimer's is kicking in, and I lost my train of thought. That's what happens when you turn 57. If somebody else has a question, go ahead. And if this, oh yeah, okay. So I end up, what I found also on response, rather than, let's say that there's 1,800 leads I want to call, right? If I send 1,800 out at once with that recording, I get a very low response back. And I suspect that's something technical. I don't know whether it's technical at your end or technical at the Twilio end, right? But I get a very low response back. So I found it to be, I get a much better return if I send them out 100 at a time. And that's fine. But what would be handy is if I could designate a phone number to be my default call out number, because I got to do this 18 times and I got, 50 numbers in my Twilio, and I've got to go find that number and specify it every time that I'm telling it to run out the IVR. Do you get my point?
Yeah.
So some way to set a number as the default number to go out on the IVR so I don't have to keep re-specifying it.
I got you. You want to be able in your settings or something to set a default number so that whenever you go, so in the new design in the new text in bulk, there's a way for you to set a default number at a contact level to an individual contact, because you could have contacts from all over the place and you're dealing with them on one specific channel. So you can assign them that default number so that you don't accidentally send them a text message from the wrong number whenever you were talking to them from the roofing leads number or whatever. I hadn't planned for one system wide, but we can do something like that for sure. It's a great.
Yeah, I use one number. I use one number for a state when I'm running a campaign, so that it appears to be quasi-local.
For sure.
Yeah, but to keep going back and reselecting that, it's just one step I don't need. It's also an easy thing to forget.
For sure. So I set these up. For all the software, and I set. Hopefully you can see this right here. I set these up for all the software, and put them in the chat bots, announcements to community and stuff. They're just the public roadmaps. So I think one of the things that we can also do, I mean, we may seriously think, and I'm open to it, obviously, we may seriously think about branding and image, but I mean, especially as I've mentioned several times that having, powered by tier 5 on a software doesn't mean shit to me. It's not gonna bother me if we take powered by tier 5 off of the software and fucking call it, powered by fucking XYZ, and we're politically correct and don't say fuck or anything like that. We're all pros. But if we wanted to do something like, launch on a platform like AppSumo or something, they're going to ask us for something like this, a public roadmap where they're just going to naturally expect something like this. And that's something that we can do to get early adopters, initial revenue, people talking about us, buzzing about us. Obviously, people recommending our software to to the market because they came in as an AppSumo user, and they actually, you know, use the software and they like the software, so they recommend it to other people, and they're like, hey, what do you use for this or that? So it could be beneficial and profitable to us. I created all this, and the reason I'm telling you that is any features or anything that you want added to text in bulk or any of the softwares, they all have one of these, and you can just go in and create that feature request, say, you know, like what it is, what's a use case for it, just an example of how you use it, and some details about that feature. And then the whole community can go in and look at them and read on them and, you know, talk about them, add more stuff to them, make them more advanced, and vote on them. And then we can see in real time what users are actually wanting and just build stuff on demand for you and the community. So
Adding it now.
You always add them in there. I have the QA guys and the engineers look at that. So the project leads and the QA. So QA goes in and looks at this and monitors this to make sure that feature requests aren't stuff that already exists that you could just already be doing in the platform. And then, you know, I look at these, and so do the product leads. So some of them don't make sense, like this one, creation of QR code bill subtotals don't fucking make sense in text and bulk. I don't know what the fuck it means. QR bill subtotal coupon includes unique, unlike a normal coupon, a formula which calculates or adds the subtotal of what is consumed by customers. So this dude essentially wants a fucking somehow to generate a fucking QR bill. The QR code that somehow I guess gets generated and they scan and fucking spits out a coupon or some shit. I really don't understand this one, to be honest. I'd have to talk to this guy and be like, what the hell are you talking about, Carlos Henry? Lucky for us, we can't talk to this guy because we can just ask him right here, like, hey, Carlos Henry, sir, we didn't quite understand you. Sorry about that. Here's a Zoom session. Would you like to speak to our engineers more about this feature? And then if it pans out to be an awesome feature, we can just build it out, obviously. And that, from my perspective, that's a good way to have a good image and a good brand, regardless of whether you say fuck or not. Just listen to your users and build the shit that they ask you for that actually makes sense and make the platform better for them and make them feel important, and just tag them and be like, Carlos, remember that feature that you fucking wanted? Bro, we built that shit. It's live. Test it out. Let us know if we can make it any better. Carlos be like, yeah, you guys are awesome. Thanks. I just got a client because of this. So anyways, that's what those are for. You can use those if you want to use them.
John, did we resolve that issue? It's probably still an ongoing issue with that that money that was charged against texting bulk or robo-contact for the when they were doing a lot of searches and they got some bill for $10,000 or something. Is that our end problem, or is that somebody else's problem, a third-party problem?
Well, I guess it's a little mixture from both. So I wouldn't necessarily say it's our end problem. I would say that there could be things that we could do differently, like the model of LeadRabbit itself. There are things that we could do differently to help mitigate that bill. But from what I can tell, they are legitimate bills based on usage of the people who were using those things. I mean, that's a legitimate data usage bill because they were requesting that much data from the Google APIs from what I can tell. Like I said, there are things that we could add to an engineering queue to minimize those types of things, kind of along the concept of LeadRabbit. If you think people are going into RoboContact and they're making searches and having to run that against the Google API and spend their API credits, we could save all that data and make that data available already, so that, you know, when other users want to search that, they're searching from our database, and first we look in our database, and only if we don't have it in our database, then we go out to Google and we get it from Google. So hopefully that answers your question. It doesn't, from what I can tell so far, it doesn't seem like it's actually like there's a problem from our end, outside of just letting somebody create queries that end up getting charged that much by Google, because that's how much data they go in and actually want to get from Google. Google does charge for that data, and they make it public how they charge for it and what they charge for it. And if you go in and actually look at the request versus the amount of data that they were wanting wanting to get back and they were getting back on those searches, it does match up with the pricing that Google wants to charge you for that data.
Yeah, I saw that. I was just trying to work out a way of, if there was a way, it probably isn't, of just test, putting an idea of, oh, I want to get these type of searches, and to get an estimate of how much that would cost. But I don't know if there's an easy way of doing that, within the system itself before you actually run the search itself. That was all I was thinking. Other than doing a manual, oh, okay, this is the cost from the Google. Oh, okay, I want to do this. I would probably estimate it's going to be that, yada 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 type stuff.
I mean, there is. I mean, for sure, there is, and it can be solved with more. It can be solved with more engineering time, for sure. So there is, for sure, there's things that we could go in and do. Like we could go in and actually build a pseudo calculator that could be, pseudo accurate of what this could cost, or what we would expect this to cost, for sure. But then again, keep in mind, I did the same thing for text in bulk. I built an estimator that would let you know, because it's a third-party data set, to let you know what we would estimate that sending this out would actually cost you. And I get a bunch of people that complain about that and say, that's so stupid. Why is that there? So, but for sure, we could build something. We could build logic out. It's just, does that make sense for us to do that? And do we want to do that? We could, for sure. So, any other questions? Anything else you guys want to talk about? You guys all talked out for today?
Yeah, I'm pretty good, John. I got to run, but I sure appreciate you doing this. Have a good one.
I did get your message, Hollis.
Yes.
And I think I did, but I don't have the domain finalized, because I got to teach that girl how to do DNS stuff, because they don't know how to do DNS stuff yet.
Okay, no problem. Just checking back. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Care.
Yeah, it's me. Just one last question, John.
Yeah, sure. What's up, Alan?
So I came on the call a bit late and my question was answered. I was just wondering, so there is a recording, so I can go back and listen to the call about the questions?
For sure. So for sure, and basically to answer in a nutcat is white labeling. We're working out a solution for white labeling, and it's not, there's no real customization for white labeling. We can do customization in a joint venture for sure. We can do that customization inside a joint venture. So white labeling can't really customize, because it's not super easy to customize something that's white labeled, because a joint venture, that's more easy to customize, but that's kind of a different dog. So with the joint venture, what we'd be looking for in a joint venture are joint venture partners who can essentially commit and agree and be contractually, to some extent bound to be able to produce a realistic amount of revenue in a time frame, because we're going to have to put in an amount of working capital on our own to be able to obviously make all those custom changes and modifications. So what I see best, and again, we're a partnership here, and I have been really transparent with everybody. I think it's fucking coming to the internet and and doing all this, that I'm not going to pretend to know everything, and this is a partnership and we work together. But from my perspective, in a joint venture, we kind of have two different options. So we can joint venture with a group of partners, right? We can have a group of partners inside the partnership who work together to say, hey, we want to take some bulk, or take this, or we want to build this custom software for this. And there's enough partners that are venturing together to do the thing, and enough partners who are backing that, saying, yeah, let's do this. We agree, we doing that to make that we do that joint venture, right? Because the partners are funding us and the partners are giving us the money to do development. So if a lot of partners, majority of partners are saying, yes, we should do this, then it makes sense for us to do that. Outside of that, it would be, you know, finding influencers and people who we can clearly gauge, like, hey, these people could easily go in, and if we did this in this forum, they could get to $10,000 a month in revenue in a month, or they could get to $100,000 a month in revenue within 6 months, right? So either one of those things kind of makes sense on a joint venture.
Yep, I got it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and there would for sure. So on a joint venture, there would for sure be a process that the entity that is taking a core software and modifying it, or just building a core software, for them to get their features and their modifications and what actually needs to be done. There would be a process, an evaluation of, okay, what do you actually need built? How long is it going to? How long is it going to build it? Stuff like that. For sure, there'd be a process for that. Development.
Thanks, mate.
I just have to pee real quick. All right.
It's probably okay to talk amongst ourselves. How's everybody doing?
Good, good. Lance, that's a nice pet you got there. How do you manage that?
We rescue them.
Oh, that's awesome.
They fall from trees, and people bring them to us, and we get them back to health and then release them.
I was a kid, probably wasn't even 10 years old. My grandfather called himself bringing a squirrel in the house, ate up the pane around the windows because they were all wood. My mom went ballistic on my grandfather.
No, they're really amazing animals.
Yeah, it was a treat, you know, for a minute. I think he lasted a day in the house before my mom made him get rid of it.
After they're about 10 weeks old, they start getting squirrely. This one's about 6 weeks old.
Okay.
Yeah, about 10 weeks, you're kicking them out of the house. You don't want them as pets.
Yeah. Okay, that explains that then.
They're awesome to watch, though. If you watch their behavior, they're a really cool animal just to watch their social behavior.
Yeah, they're really smart animals.
They are, and they're really they're like a lot of animals. If you just watch and observe a lot of animals, not all of them do nonverbal communication. A lot of them will do like verbal communication, but not all of them have a way of nonverbal communication. Well, they'll look at each other and make nonverbal gestures, and squirrels do. Squirrels will make patternable nonverbal communications with each other, as well as audible. And they're just, like I said, they're a very social, they're a very little social creature where they have, like, you can watch little clicks. If you sit and go to a park and watch squirrels, you'll see little squirrel clicks, and you'll see little squirrel whirls where they'll go fight each other, and, you know, they'll hang out in little posses and hang out with each other, and these dudes won't go over there, because if they go over there, these dudes are going to be like, hey, fuck out my tree. It's my tree. We put our nuts in here, so go over there. I like it.
Do we have any more information on the compliance to the text? Can't remember the name of the US legislation, but we were talking about the other day where we can have 5 particular codes or states.
I don't have any information about that. I think you're talking about the DNC.
Yeah, is it TCP or something they call it?
There is an actual API for that, by the way, that I plan on integrating with Text and Bulk at some time. It's just it's a chargeable thing. They charge for the API request, so it would be something we would just again outsource to the users. So I know that DNC list they're saying is published by somebody important like the government or some shit like that, but I also don't know if that's accurate. I think it would be good to have, obviously, to source a list of numbers like that and be able to alert a user like, hey, we think this number is registered on a do not call list. But I think everybody just needs to keep in mind, even if we do that, you apparently can't ever fucking make everybody happy. So we already do that to some extent with number validation, and that data also isn't accurate sometimes. So, but I don't have any information because I wasn't really involved in any of that stuff myself personally. So no, I don't have any information on that. Somebody else might have information on that. If they do, they can speak up. They don't. Got it. No one else has it either. No additional information is there. So other stuff, any other stuff that we want to talk about today? No other stuff. Thank you so much. We got some tea. We got
just a quick question. How long is that $200 going to be up? Because it's pretty late here. So is it going to be here for another 8 hours or so?
Well, I said it was going up tomorrow, but probably for sure, because I'm not even a man of my word. I'm just probably just leave it up and then message everybody again and be like, hey, it's the last day again today. It's supposed to go up. I did say today's the last day of it, but it requires me to go in and put it up, like make it go up. So today is technically the last day of that day.
The only reason is I'm extremely tired and I don't want to go and do that right now, to be honest, unless I absolutely have to.
You don't have to.
Okay. As long as I've got eight hours sleep and I can come and do it in the morning, that'd be fine.
Sure.
John, that's about the amount of sleep you get in a month, right?
It's approximate.
Once a month, you get 8 hours. Cumulative.
It's approximate. I'm really digging that squirrel, though. I need a little squirrel from a monkey.
Definite thumbs up on the squirrel.
I wonder what George would do with him, though.
I don't know, man. It's like
I know.
keep seeing animals now and wanting to build. Like I keep seeing animals and I keep wanting to build these little like IoT devices for them, like these little exoskeletons that I can just fit, or I can 3D print and print around them and put like accelerometers and GPSs on them, so that I can see where they're at and measure their movements and stuff. I don't know why, there's like I'm starting to get fascinated when I see little animals. Like, damn, what types of sensors could go in that? Like, how could I make that little animal my device? Good night, John. Good night, Jody. Good night, guys. Happy weekend. Happy weekend.
Lance, where you from?
I'm from Boston.
Okay, all right. Boston strong.
How about you,
Charles?
And you alum.
Boston, Jersey. You can't tell his state. Got the jersey.
I'm currently in the nation's capital, right outside of DC.
Very nice. I've been to Baltimore a bunch of times down that area.
It's been a while since I've been back to Beantown, but lovely city.
Yeah.
Dennis, you're right over there too, right?
New Jersey, border of New York, like 20 minutes away from New York City.
I'm stuck in India, so still. Another 2 weeks or 3 weeks, probably.
I was just going to ask, John, are they going to let you go anytime soon?
Yeah, just probably like another 2 or 3 weeks. I still haven't got the document, and it'll probably be like 4 weeks still to get the document from the U.S. The U.S. tax registry, the certificate of tax registration from the U.S. because it's tax season now, and it's like a document you can only get by submitting an actual paper letter to the tax department and then having them process that and then mail you out a paper form. So, because it's awesome government document. So probably like 4 weeks before I get that document from them. I don't know. I got a lawyer on this side that's working on it, and according to her, but this is the second time that she's told me this because it's somebody else, it's the tax commissioner telling her that these are the last documents that she needs, which are like 6 different other documents here, basically stating that companies here didn't actually pay me income, and if they did, they're liable for the taxes or that income that they paid me and shit like that. Just real stupid fucking tax shit. It's good though, because I'm learning a lot about what can and can't be done tax-wise, and how things can actually eventually all tie in together, especially once me and Ankita technically get like legally married and all that good stuff. I know I say she's my wife, and I hope you guys understand and have understood that when I say she's my wife, I mean that in the way that involves her not being my wife, but the feelings that you would think that you should feel about your wife. Like, she is my wife because I don't think like a piece of paper is what determines the person that I actually love. But legally, a government wouldn't really say she's your wife. But if I asked the government, be like, yeah, you guys aren't actually married, she's not really your wife. And that's true. She's my wife in my heart. So we haven't physically got married yet.
I have the same problem, except it's common law in most states here. So,
well, so it is a little tricky marrying a foreigner. So it's really tricky.
Yeah.
It's really tricky marrying a foreigner, especially if you're doing business. It's really tricky foreigner doing business. Like, so there's that. But anyway, so it's no big deal. I like being over here, so it's no big deal. The only reason I leave anyways is because they physically tell me I have to fucking leave. So that's the only reason I leave anyways. So like I said, good things will come out of it, because now I won't necessarily have to, from this process, I won't necessarily have to leave at segregated times. I'll understand the process to be able to, if I want to stay here for 3 years, and no big deal if I want to do that. So it will allow for a little bit more flexibility. And then we'll figure out the marriage stuff, which then allows for a lot more flexibility for her traveling with me. I've been traveling the world, specifically the U.S., and then also opens up a lot of other possibilities, like legal possibilities with business that we can have, because we're a married couple and we're international. We can both legally be citizens of other countries and own entities, own businesses and stuff there. So the legal bounds that we're able to bind ourselves are, because now we can both actually be like, right now I don't own a company over here, like physically own a company, because it's really hard to do that. So you still have to have, now it would be much easier, like you still have to have at least two Indian partners for a foreign entity, but that fucks a lot of stuff up with me, visa-wise, unless we're married. But then the marriage thing is a little complex outside of being together, 2, 3, 5 years, which is now those things in the process to do that, and not have the government be like, oh, well, you guys don't love each other, you guys are just getting married so she could go over here, or you're just getting married to her so you can have a business over here to embezzle money. They obviously look at that shit. So those things we're able to actually plan out, and that's good. It's kind of like a good opportunity for it to happen. So I'm not fucked up about it. It's not really about me.
That's a super good way to look at it. And yeah, I mean, you always benefit from experience. Some of the experience sucks, but I mean, you learn from it. Well, good luck getting it all resolved.
I'm just paying somebody to do it for me. So on both sides, I'm paying somebody on the U.S. side and on the Indian side just to have them do it for me. So what else? Other stuff? Any other things you guys want to talk about while we're here today?
I was late to the party, so I'll catch the replay. I'm sure there was stuff that was discussed that I'll need to review on the video.
Yeah, we pretty much just went over the questions that people posted. And then right whenever you were coming in, we were just really finishing up those questions, and we're starting like the rest of our session that we segregated so that other people in the group that want to complain about not, or having to watch a long meeting that's about nothing, it's in a different section of the long, it's actually about nothing, but whatever you want it to be about. So
yep.
So now we're doing that. So we did go over all those questions that were asked, and then you pretty much came in right whenever we were finishing those questions.
Yeah, John, I'm here for the meeting about nothing. Can you just let me
Nico,
know?
oh my God, man. What's up, Nico?
I got a new toy.
Nico, what are you wearing, bro?
This one. Oh, my pajamas.
Looks like you got a nurse's office. It looks like you got a nurse's suit on, bro. Are you
I moonlight as a dentist.
Are you performing colonoscopies or something?
He's a proctologist.
Who's that over there, Dennis? Are you telling me you're due, sir? I'll put you on my appointment list.
See welcome videos, you snapping on the rubber glove.
You can join my list. I'm a lead donkey. They're from the proctologist.
Lead donkey.
Leaddonkey.com. What's up? What's up, Tier 5?
You're coming to CarrotCon, right, Nico?
I'm going as a VIP to CarrotCon.
With me. I think I'm going to talk about automation. I think that's what I picked that I could talk about that would actually. I mean, because I can't really fucking do sales and marketing. It's a sales and marketing event. So I think I'm going to talk about automation as it relates to sales and marketing and fucking entrepreneurs, because that's the audience. And I think that's something that I could provide to them that would be valuable to them. That if they went, implemented some of the stuff that I just talked to them, the key concepts of them, that they could see a value and a benefit from being able to actually save time and automate stuff, which means they can make time to do more money making activities, and I can make them some money, and not have to talk about sales and marketing.
Hey, listen, I tune in on a webinar if you had for the Inner Circle to do a pre-run.
I'm thinking for sure that we might do a mastermind while we're there, Nico, like just like a get together of partners that come, get a place and hang out, and then just do a mastermind, like my version of a mastermind.
You're just saying that because you're gonna have a bong with you.
I'm gonna give everybody some Kool-Aid for sure. There is gonna be some Kool-Aid at the mastermind, and then we'll we will dive into some things that I would consider high level concepts that may not be for everybody in the world. So, but we would participate in exercises that would essentially stimulate your mind and open your mind up to new perspectives that may seem kind of arbitrary as you're doing them, but afterwards, the way that you think about things, it will open your horizons a little bit on.
I'm with you, Miyagi. Wax on, wax off.
Exactly. We might do some waxing, just to.
So for all you girls out there,
get waxed.
Oh, fun. FOMO yet?
What's up, Nikos?
What's up? Who's that, sir?
Joe Kusky.
Hey, Joe.
Hey, Joe.
How you guys doing?
We're great, Joe.
What's up, everybody? Joe Kusky, thing of coffee.
Hey, Joe.
I have my ammunition. This is my weapon.
Who's that on Kita?
Some coffee, you guys. I have to put it through hot water first. Solve the problem, entrepreneurs. Solve the problem.
Yes, it does. Absolutely.
So that's what I'm here for.
Coffee?
Put it in some hot water, put it in a bag, and put it in.
Thanks,
Hey, Dennis,
Joe.
how you doing?
Hey, Joe.
All right, guys. I'm
Doing pretty good. I just came on. I got stuck at work in meetings, of course, all that kind of good stuff. So I'll end up watching the replay to listen up to what's going on. But I saw that you guys were on, so I thought I'd go ahead and jump in. Just say hello at least.
Hey, what's up?
How you guys doing?
Doing good. For the problem that you said that you couldn't add the email, you have to call the delete API and then recreate. I mean, add the user again, because when we.
You should just call the delete API. You got all
No, I posted in the other thread also that if the same problem that you cannot actually, what happened when we were developing and we changed some APIs. So at that point in time, what happened? Those users were actually getting created, but it was not showing in the affiliate account. Like your affiliate account, it is actually created. Like if you log in with other software, it will be working, but it's not created. It's not showing in your affiliate account. So we fixed that. So that's why it's actually created in the backend. So you have to just call the delete API once, delete that user, and then just add it.
Or you could
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you can do, but for every user I'm talking about, it's
not for every user, for every partner. Yeah, you should do their users for it.
we don't know what users they're
If you don't do it for them, they're all going to cancel. So just do it. If you don't do it, they're all canceling. $1 million by tomorrow.
There you go. So bottom line, it's fixed.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It was fixed. We just like you sent me the email, so I checked in the backend and I saw it is actually created. So you just have to do the same thing. If it's happening for any other user also, so that's why I'm giving you the heads up. Like if it's happening for other emails, so just delete that, like all the delete API, and then just re-add again.
Okay. Cool. See, now, John, what seems to be the problem? Everybody complains and says, hey, I can't get no support or anything. I sent one message. I got one response back, and I got a fix. What seems to be the problem?
Well, to be quite honest, I don't think there's, I mean, there are obviously problems. There's lots of fucking problems, but I see your support and I see what happens in support. And just because a couple people complain and have problems does not mean that all there is problems. So
right. Well, there is no problem.
We support a lot of people.
And especially we have opened the whole night shift for you guys. I mean, for supporting the users. They are working the night shift right now because of that, like just to support the whole US day shift.
They're right back there.
Oh, you know, and actually, John, I don't even see it as a problem. I see it as an opportunity. That's how I look at it. It's an opportunity to make us better, right?
Yeah.
That was part of that. I mean, that was literally part, and I do understand, and I don't have a problem with it, but that was literally part of the premise of the free trial offer, is just to fucking say fuck it, get a bunch of users into the platform, get the software used, tested, build all the KVs and all the fucking flows and chatbots to be able to scale support, so that once we actually get users that are paying, money every month for a platform, there's no issues in it, and support's pretty much automated, training's pretty much automated, but that hurt people's feelings, or it devalued our software, it seemed like. So
it's called a cost of doing business to build a business. That's what I look at it as. I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking in a different mindset, just like you guys. I don't know. So that's cool. Thank you very much. I really appreciate you guys.
So you got a VR, Nico? VR camera?
Well, for tax purposes, I cannot confirm or deny that it's mine. But there's a box.
You got a box. There's a little box. Box there.
There may be rocks inside. Glitter.
Unbox it.
Snap rocks.
It's a 360 VR camera.
Popcorn.
You gonna stream those anal sessions? Is what you're streaming? Put your Oculus on and see you go elbow deep. Is it handfuls at a time? Because I don't really understand how colonoscopies work.
He wears a snorkel. He wears a snorkel.
I'd love to stay in here. All these jokes, my battery's dying. Okay, I think my battery's gonna die. Did you guys hear that? I have a page. I have a crown to do.
Dr. Nico.
I'll be dropping links. Let me know who wants it. Beta test. Wouldn't that be fun? Yeah, I don't know.
Somebody, you think about it, somebody's got to walk through a value ladder with that guy. His marketer, the guy that sticks the water hose up your ass, his marketer got to walk through the value ladder and figure out where that colonoscopy actually fits.
We should do a split test and just be like, what do you think might be easier? For me to find a 360 VR client to put a water hose up my ass, or Facebook ad guy? What's the most attractive hook? Chatbot expert, or what's those movies in the 70s, right? You can go in like someone's eyeball. I'd rather just give away Link Wizard. Call it a day.
Well,
What's going on with our user base? How are we doing? Are we getting people? Are we growing?
Yeah, to some
Are we
extent.
pushing?
To some extent, for sure. I put in like 1 or 2 users a day on some offer, either on a paid offer or on a 12-month free trial offer. And then other partners are for sure dumping. Users in there. So we haven't done a JV Zoo launch or anything, but we're still kind of balls to the wall, kind of refacing the softwares to make them look sexier and presentable. And
yeah,
as that happens, hopefully we'll catch up with the JV Zoo launch, and we'll be able to actually really devise a plan. I think a lot of it's also naturally going to be held out until we have a solid affiliate platform, right? Like, we can't really get affiliates to go out and fucking promote us until we actually have a solid affiliate platform for them to actually be able, and we're still working on actually building that out. That's better than what we have right now, which is a very outdated platform that was not actually built for what it is right now. So once those pieces fall together, you know, once we actually get the software to look a lot more presentable, and then we're able to have a good affiliate platform to get affiliates into the platform promoting, then I think our user growth will grow a lot more. Until then, for sure, we do have partners putting users into the platform every single day. So there are users that come into the software every single day from the partners. Does that help the limited partnership in terms of revenue right now immediately? Not really, other than it creates justification for that partner to continue paying their partnership fees, which helps us in revenue, and it gives us a future potential in revenue from that customer, that whenever we launch a new software product or a rebranded version of a software product, that we can monetize that. Because honestly, I've been thinking on the rebrand, once we do the rebrand, and we have, or not necessarily the rebrand, but the redesign, have all the proper plans in place, a good compromise that we might be able to find with partners who don't want to lose all their unlimited accounts on stuff, and they still want access to all those unlimited accounts, but I'd still be able to monetize. Is just take all those unlimited accounts, all the new ones, and put them in on that basic plan level, and that basic plan level, that low plan level, is what you can give away for free. So essentially, we would have 4 plan levels. We would have an absolute free plan, the first paid tier plan, and that first paid tier plan is what all future unlimited accounts would go out of. And then we would have the next 2 paid plans, which, you know, partners, you can put people into our second plan, the actual paid plan, so nobody else can go get it for free. So it's still valuable for you as a partner, because people have to pay us for that. So you can just give away that paid plan, and then it gives a natural upsell, which you're still going to get 70% commission that we naturally upsell, and then that other 30% is going to go into actual, you know, funds for the partnership fee, where we can make a revenue on. I thought that would be a good compromise. Now, whether we do that or not, honestly, that's really for the most part up to you, and the overall vibe that I get from the partners that are involved in the partnership.
Yeah, so speaking of those partners, not everyone are equity partners like us, but we have those other tiers. So those guys would be able to have the same type of affiliate revenue share? 70%?
Well, not necessarily, but we could build that into a model for sure. We could go in and build into a model that incentivizes an affiliate user to pay us money up front right now for a larger commission of sales that they think that they're going to make. We say, hey, we've got different tiers. Builderall does kind of the same thing. They have different tiers. They call it an ambassador program, where if you pay them more upfront right now, then you get a higher percentage of commission on the sales that you actually make. So we can roll out a model like that and have different tiered affiliate model, where we tell users, you know, hey, if you upgrade to this price, you're going to get this much additional commission on any new sales that you make after you're on this plan. We could do that if we wanted to, for sure. I've thought about it before, but not something that exists right now, but we could do it.
I mean, I appreciate you talking about it because you know you are so flexible, and I don't know who wants to manage those types of campaigns, but you know, of course, maybe the company would benefit from eventually getting someone full time when we get there. But
For sure.
maybe we could benefit from the inner circle group on having a 30,000 foot view Trello board, and then that kind of anchors these larger thoughts, these 3 to 6, 12-month projects. Might help so you don't have to repeat yourself, and then people that aren't on the calls can't make it right now, we could just check in and be like, look, this is like an anchor whiteboard in a Trello, something like that. I'm just trying to see how we can automate ourselves at the same time. Communication.
I would say a lot of that will come when somebody decided that they wanted to do that, which is most likely probably not ever going to be me. If we're just being honest and frank about it. Like I know exactly what I'm gonna do. So I like that idea, and I love that concept, Nikos. And when could you expect to see that happen? Whenever somebody actually decides, hey, we need that, I'm going to actually do that. I think a lot of that's still my fault, and I'm still lacking to be able to put together and formulate some type of incentive plan where people who take the lead and go out and do things like that, there's a way for them to be compensated, or a way for them to get some additional things for taking those leadership roles and doing things that actually need to be done generally in our partnership. And we could obviously, as a partnership, agree to that and actually work in funds that come in from our revenue stream. That's part of what's up here. You guys probably can't see it, but that's part of what's up here in this concept. And this drawing up here, as I was going in and explaining, and that's what that shows. It shows the Tier 5 limited partnership, and then it shows, the Tier 5 company underneath there that's the general partner, and it shows the different income streams that we have, which is essentially the partnership fees that are paid, and which are non-distributable revenue. It's revenue that doesn't get distributed and isn't account for distribution. And then it's the distribution streams, which I've made up right now. Right now, it's made up of 2 streams. It's essentially licensing agreement and software sales. And I've highlighted licensing agreements to be the bigger portion because I think that's me personally where I would love to go. I personally would much rather, especially at this stage in the game, the only software development and any sales and marketing and really front-facing customer support is done by another entity that's licensed one of the softwares that we've built for some time while we're bootstrapped. Now, why? Because that's a whole nother cost that we have to bear. And I would much rather bootstrap that. And I don't want to bootstrap it by going out and getting more partners and asking for more revenue from more partners. I'd much rather bootstrap it by having, we got 7 softwares, spend 3 or 4 fucking months and find good joint venture partners that will be a good partner for each type of software and say, look, we built the software asset. You pick a fucking domain name and a fucking logo and go off and do the marketing shit. Here's the agreement. Here's the revenue stream that we want to see. We want to see this much after 1 month, this much after 3 months, this much after 6 months, and we want to maintain this type of revenue. We want to see this revenue stream coming in to maintain this licensing agreement with you guys, and we take a portion of that revenue stream. We tell them, within 12 months, we want you to be at $100,000 a month, and we're going to take 30% of that, so that's going to bring us in a $30,000 revenue stream. And we do that for a couple softwares and get a revenue stream, because then we can use that revenue as a partnership to say, okay, now we want to actually bear the cost of sales, marketing, branding, front-facing customer support, and we can bootstrap off of a client base that we already have that's been built by these joint venture partners. So for me, that seems the better option to go, because like I said, again, we bootstrap a lot of that additional cost that we're going to need to really be, like, if you guys go look at any real SaaS company, you look at their hierarchy and their infrastructure, most of their resources are not engineers. The majority of the resources, like, 20-30% maximum are engineers. Everybody else is the rest of the fucking company: accounting, sales, customer service, and upper management, everybody else. So are we ready, and do we really want to be there right now with Tier 5? I don't think so. And how do I know that? Because I know who runs Tier 5 right now. He's a good fucking friend of mine, and he don't want to do that shit. He just wants to build software. So how do we solve that? We solve that with the licensing agreement. But anyways, we could work out with that inside the partnership itself to be able to say, from that revenue that comes in, that's the distributable revenue, not the partnership fees that fund the development firm, but from that distributable revenue, we can make an allowance for certain type of roles that the partnership could actually pay out for, let's say, that affiliate manager that you were talking about, okay? Where we're gonna have some revenue, so we're gonna make an expense, and we're gonna say, hey, we're paying that affiliate manager. And that revenue, that type of revenue, I myself am totally comfortable with having open discussions on what's appropriate for those budgets and how it should be distributed. If I'm having those conversations and dialogues with competent people, okay? I'm not going to tell somebody who struggles and I see that their inner circle partnership or their $100 partnership or their $300 payment, you know, fails every month due to insufficient funds. You know, trust me, if I'm being honest, I'm probably not going to step in with that person on financial advice on who we should be paying what and how we should be managing money, because they're having a hard time covering $300 a month. And so listen to them on that. But with people who are qualified, I'm totally open to having those discussions. However, partnership fees and the fees from the actual partnership that come in directly from limited partners, from you guys, I'm not really open to discussing how those things get appropriated and how those things get spent, because they get spent to fund our development firm over here. That's kind of what the goal of the partnership is. But I think we need those roles, and I think it's my fault that we haven't found a way to compensate people who would actually say, hey, I want to take the bull by the horns and I want to do this.
So I think the affiliate, for me, when I hear affiliate, it's that they're not really, the only way they affiliate with our company is through their marketing effort, which is, I think, for me, I just want to say again, it's a separate thing. The people that are already paying revenue streams that I see in the other groups, but they're not limited partners, yeah, if they can have more buy-in on the company and they can promote the company, I think that's a normal business practice. A small business, you know, you get 5 coffees, the next one's free on us. You know, you refer us 5 businesses, we're going to cut you a deal for being a great referral partner. Yeah, there's no need to be falling the sword on that, John. But you know, you're open to discussion. You see where the trajectory is going. What else can I ask for?
I'm open. Again, me, especially if I can rely on my partners. Okay, if I can rely on my partners to pay their fucking fee every month and stick with it and have a long-term vision, I'm fucking cool myself with giving fucking all of the revenue out to fucking affiliates for the short term, because I know what that's going to do. All of a sudden, we're going to fucking wake up and we're going to have 500,000 fucking customers using our fucking software. Why? Because the affiliates promote us above anybody else, because they keep all that fucking money. So we wait for some time, and then, like I said, boom, all of a sudden we realize we got 500,000 fucking customers that have been paying for our shit for the last fucking 3 years. And if you look at any affiliate model, go look at any fucking affiliate model in the world and show me the legal fucking boundary that says they have to pay you affiliate commission. There ain't one. There never will be one. Those dudes do that out of their good graces, and at any time they want, after you generate them 500,000 paying customers that they're paying you 100% commission on, anytime they want to fucking say, fuck off, we don't want to pay that commission anymore, they're able to do that if you look at their affiliate agreement. So, not that we would have to do that, but that is in our hand to do at any time if we want to change models. And how could you do that as a business easier? You could acquire yourself. You create a new business that just acquires yourself. And in that acquisition, you can say, hey, we don't have an affiliate model. We ain't paying you guys anymore. And then
I think that's another important point, is that you're like, at this stage where we are, we could pivot in this way, in this manner. And then when we reach maturity, we can pivot yet again. There's no restriction on our business growing.
For sure. There for sure is not. So that part doesn't bother me. I know it's like most of the marketers say who wins in marketing is whoever can acquire the most customers, right? Whoever can
market,
acquire the most customers and has the lowest cost to acquire a customer, that's essentially the guy that wins. Because that guy.
I thought it was whoever could spend the most to acquire a customer.
That's the same thing. So it's not really, it doesn't matter how much you spend, it matters how many customers that you're actually acquiring. So
that's why it's important that we get our numbers right in the future too. So we're able to say to a lot of proper affiliates, you know, here's your ROI, here's your churn rate. You know, we're going to work on customer service. We're going to work on all that stuff. It's huge for that person that relies on their recurring income for referring people to us, that we have stickiness.
for sure.
John, is there somewhere that, or could we maybe talk about having somewhere that we can see how many subscribers we have and how it's growing, and, you know, kind of, obviously we all have our eye on the same ball. And for me, that has to do with benchmarks of, you know, users. And it doesn't necessarily even translate into financials, though I'd love to see those too. Yeah. But, you know, just seeing how many people are sticking for affiliates, of course, but also overall for tier 5.
For sure. For sure. So there's not something like that right now, but for sure I'm already planning something like that ties into our, so I created a new Stripe account just for after starting the partnership, sales of software that come through our landing pages organically or through affiliates, to have those built in there. All right. So in the new affiliate platform, part of my plan in that affiliate platform is to be able to show partners how many revenue shares that they have and what the estimated value of those revenue shares are based on customers coming in from that Stripe account and money's coming in from there. And then yes, show total users. If you look on the softwares, the ones that I've redesigned, and then all the future ones that are, all the other ones that are getting redesigned, that feature's already built. That feature's already built into the platform. So if you go, like for example, if you go look on the ones that we redesigned already, and you look at at domain leads, you can already see right there the amount of users that are in the platform. So you can see how many, and if you add more users, this changes. Okay, you can see the number of domains in the platform, and you can see the number of leads that have unlocked in the platform. So if you actually just go into domain leads and log into some account, and I'm doing this with all the different softwares. For text in bulk, it's going to be messages, you know, total SMS and total phone calls and total users. For domain leads, it's for domain leads, I need to fucking update my subscription because I canceled it because I didn't want to pay for domain leads because I built the fucking shit, and now they won't let me. Now they won't let me use it because my subscription's canceled. But if you go in, if I find a user that has an account here, I think I've got another user that actually has an account that's not a. Anyways, this data moves in real time. Maybe this one is an account. So this data moves in real time, so you can see that data, and you can see it for Magic Zap as well. If you check out Magic Zap essentially has the same thing, where if you just go in and look in here, just look for today, yesterday. So you can see them right there. This doesn't really, I mean, this does take into account when users get deleted, then this will reflect that they're actually deleted. And then Magic Zap has it right now, and I want to do that inside the affiliate platform. I do want to do that inside the affiliate platform as well, show the same thing. This shows, and you can also see this if it updates in real time. Like if I've got a Magic Zap installed on Lead Rabbit, and if you look at these page views and this automation, I've got one installed on Lead Rabbit, and you'll see that data will also update as soon as Lead Rabbit, as soon as as soon as Lead Rabbit loads, you'll see that that will go to 420, and then see the automation fired 157 because Lead Rabbit just loaded up and it fires an automation and just lets me know on a Google Sheet everybody that visits Lead Wizard or Lead Rabbit. So that data is there, and that shows the actual users that are in the platform that have been added to the platform. It doesn't show active users, so you know how many users are actually using it. But yes, I do have plans to build all that information out and get more statistical and more methodical, looking at our users and analyzing it. But that also is a way off. You know, we're backlogged right now. We're backlogged right now until June and July, just relaunching every software, rebranding it, implementing the new design, building in all the actual plans that it should have, where this user's on this plan and they can only do this, this, and this, and then adding a few features. Because as we're doing all that, obviously we're still supporting the software, working out bugs and stuff in it, adding minor features that the users are actually asking for, set up all those note boards where users can actually give their input and request features and ask for features. And we're keeping an eye on that to, you know, as little stuff comes up, we're just implementing that to make users happy. So for sure, I totally have the plans for that, and we will have something like that. We don't have it right now. I'm going to work with these girls back here and try to get them more in a state where they can provide periodic reports for you guys. Right now, it's a little mess because we use ClickFunnels. We use ClickFunnels. I set everything up on a new Stripe for the partnership, but through that Stripe with the partnership, I still have some of those payments that actually go through affiliates, and they have to get paid out to actual affiliates for promoting that stuff, and that's all manual. I actually have Elena doing that right now, doing the reconciliation for ClickFunnels. So yeah, I do have plans for all that, but it is not there yet, but it will be, and I can't give you a realistic date when you should expect it, other than the end of this year. So like I said, we're literally, I know a lot of people think that's so fucking slow and we're moving so slow, and I will challenge those people and I'll put my money where my mouth is. I'll challenge those people to go get any software company in the world and do this stuff faster. And we're moving as fast as we can, and we're doing a lot. We're literally like taking 7 softwares and essentially gutting them out and rebuilding them and making them look pretty at the exact same time. So we're essentially taking Model Ts and turning them into fucking Mustangs. So that's what's going on right now, and that is keeping us relatively busy, and will continue to keep us busy. I mean, like right now, and we're also adding in text and bulk, we're doing a lot of new stuff. Even as I have a team working on the brand new redesign. And if you guys even understood what it takes to actually engineer text and bulk, but I've got a team that's actually working on the redesign and implementing all the new redesign, and I've got another team that's actually deviating from the new design, and they're adding new features that hasn't even been redesigned yet, because it's just new features that are getting added into the text and bulk right now. And by the time we get done with the redesign in May, then I'll still need another 3 or 4 weeks of doing more redesign to catch up with all the new features that have been added in text and bulk since we've redesigned the entire platform, so that whenever we switch the design, you're not missing features that you have right now. And hopefully that makes sense. It's literally like 2 different stages that are about to merge into one, and as soon as they merge into one, we're starting a rebuild of text and bulk that's going to be a single page application. So you will be able to have a lot more cool features, and the number 1 feature will be able to have a faster application that is you're able to search in different ways, because it's a single page front end application, but you're always able to maintain that phone call that you're on, and you can stay on that phone call. You can even have 5 phone calls at once going on, and you can navigate anywhere in the system and that phone call not end. Right now, if you're in text and bulk and you're on a phone call and you go to a different page, it kills that call because it's not a single page application, and you just killed the connection to that call. So we're addressing that with the single page application, but we won't do that till after we relaunch the new design of it. I've got at least 7 years worth of backlog in software features and software that we could be building myself. So we'll never run out of work.
Hey, I'm sorry, but I have to go. Thanks, you guys, for everything, and have a good night. I appreciate everything, John, very much. Appreciate your attention earlier as well.
Client contracts, invoices, letterheads, and a proposal PowerPoint template that is fully editable as well. So these are there for you to implement.
See ya. I have to pee real quick, so I'm just gonna do that. So is there other things you would like to speak about? Other things you would like to talk about? Are there not other things? Are you guys all good for today?
I'm good. I'm just here for the meeting after the meeting.
You just came for the second meeting that other people don't want to waste their time watching, the nothing meeting about nothing, except for whatever we want it to be about.
I like to be informed.
Greg, what's up with you, buddy? You good?
Oh, yeah, I'm good. No issues here.
Munir, you said
man, it thinned out.
You said you had a demo call with WalkMe. Yeah, I would like to just know more specifically about the cost again. Munir, I already talked to them and I've seen their software. I've even used their software and know how to go set it up and implement it. And I've started setting it up for Texas in bulk, and then the free trial ran out, and I talked to their sales rep. And like I said, it was like something like $2,500 a month or something they quoted me. So whenever I thought about that $2,500 and thought about, hey, I need to use this on 6 different fucking softwares, then I was like, yo, no, I don't want to do that, because 6 times 2,500 seems like $15,000. So seems like a lot of fucking money a month to pay them. So I would just want to know more about the prices and see what type of prices it was going to be, so we could do a cost benefit analysis of it, or use a different option, use some other option. WalkMe, I've had that software on my list on a while of things that I want to software hack and clone because of their utility and the price that they charge, and because of the fact that we could use something like that for our own softwares. We're already kind of doing the R&D for it with the second version of Magic's app, which is the unless version, as far as the R&D that's needed for the scripting that they built on the front end to allow you to create those interactive tutorials. Everybody else good? Nothing else you guys want to talk about? Everybody's good for today? I'm going to go with the yes. I'm going to go with a yes on that, and then just from now on, I'm just going to go with a yes and assume that I gave you enough time and everybody was good. So I'll see you next Friday. If you have any questions or concerns, just post in the group. I'm there. Lots of people are there. We're all there. Mantra's there. So just post in the group if you need anything. Love you guys. Thanks for being on board. If you need me, just message me. Yeah.
Take care.